Hey guys, Xlice here. Second half of 4.0 is upon us, which means our first Elation DPS, Sparxie, is finally out. Guang is no longer alone, which means the first Elation comp is also now online. In this video, I'll explain everything you need to know about what Sparxie does, how to play, how to build, how to team, how to Sparxie. Disclaimer, all things filmed are on Creator Experience Server and subject to change before release, so keep that in mind. Let's get into it. Quick refresh on Elation mechanics on screen. The mask on your action bar or by your skill points reference the same thing. When the action bar happens, it procs an AHA instant, which is free damage. The bigger the number, the more damage this deals. To increase the number, which is called punchline, use abilities from Elation characters. After it happens, the certified banger number increases, which means your Elation characters deal more damage with their specific Elation damage. These are the masks on your Elation character tooltips. So, punchline is by your skill points, which affects team damage during AHA instant. Certified banger is the number on each character, which affects their individual Elation damage. Got it? Great. Now for Sparxie. For 4.0, she is considered our first Elation main DPS. If you're familiar with characters like Dill Pickle or QQ, then Sparxie is right up your alley, just about 10 times crazier. Her main source of damage every turn is going to be using her skill, as many times as you like, to buff her enhanced basic attack. So yeah, you just keep spamming the skill key and a couple things happen. Each time it's used, her next attack gains increased damage multiplier and she'll randomly gain a validation from engagement farming, either straight fire or Unreal Banger. Straight fire gives 2 skill points back and 2 punchline points. Unreal Banger just gives 1 punchline. So if you're lucky and you proc a lot of straight fires, she can actually gain SP during this time. Have fun gambling. She does have a cap of 20 skill points used per turn, and then deals massive blast damage to your choice of enemies. When she has it, her ult deals AoE damage and gives her a little bit of free SP and increases punchline. The damage from this is not significant, it's mainly just to give her free SP to use for her skill. This is defined in A4 Trace passive. Her ult gives 114 Thrill and 248 Punchline, depending on 1, 2, 3 plus Elation characters in the team. Thrill is just free SP for Sparxie only to use during her skill that doesn't consume your actual skill points. That's basically her gameplay, these two abilities. Technique does AoE damage to all enemies on entry and recovers 2 SP at the beginning of the fight. And then Talent just tells you that she does Elation damage with her enhanced basic and her ult. More skill points consumed means more Elation damage. Playstyle wise, very simple. Generate as much SP as you can with your supports, and then when it's her turn, spam her skill and use her enhanced basic whenever you're satisfied with the number of skill points used. In future situations where she's acting as a sub DPS instead of a main DPS, she'll be a bit more conservative with raw SP consumption with her skill, and instead focus more on ult uptime to generate more punchline and thrill points for free SP usage on her next enhanced basic. Now her special Elation skill. This is pure AoE and bounce Elation damage. Also grants her 2 more thrill for her next enhanced basic attack. Overall, Sparxie is just a hella fun DPS. Punchline generator with all of her abilities, skill point user to do big damage with enhanced basic, and massive gambling to hit the big ones. Now for extra passive benefits. A2 Trace. This converts attack to Elation. Normally, Elation damage is unaffected by main stat, but for Sparxie, this allows attack to scale really well into all of her damage. Max value achieved here is 3600 attack for 80% Elation. A4 is the thrill and punchline on her ult. A6 is scaling team-wide crit damage depending on your punchline. Scales 1-to-1 for a cap of 80% crit damage at 80 punchline. Remember that this is the number of buyer skill points, not the certified banger ones on your character tooltip. So after an AHA instant, your punchline will be reset back to 0 and you'll need to stack it again. Trace nodes are giving 12 crit rate, 13.3 crit damage, and 20 Elation percent. Pure Elation scaling. And then Trace priority goes Talent, Elation skill, and then ult basic as needed. All of her Elation damage from her enhanced basic attack actually scales from her Talent. Skill further increases the damage multiplier, and then the ultimate and the basic attack are basically just attack multiplier damage, which are really small contributors to her real damage. Level them all if you wish, she is a DPS after all. Now let's take a look at her light cones. So new path means new specific light cones, so there really isn't much to go around. Her signature provides 48% crit damage and a bunch of SP related bonuses. First, for every Elation teammate, max SP limit +1 up to 3. If you only have Sparxie, this will give at least +1. Current teams with only Guang can get +2. Every SP consumption grants 5% ignore defense up to 20% total, and at cap also increases team Elation by 20%. So, max gain from this LC looks like follows. You get 48% crit damage, plus 3 max SP, 20% ignore defense, and 20% team elation. Comparatively, our alternatives include 4-star Today's Good Luck for decent base attack, 12% crit rate, and up to 24% elation. We also have 4-star Tribbie's Adventure for 12% elation and elation damage taken by all enemies. Since she has attack conversion to elation, base attack on the LC does matter for her, so I generally wouldn't go into the 3-star LC category. But if you have nothing else, you could consider Lingering Tears for 20% crit damage. Now, when looking at her signature, the main gain from this is definitely going to be the max SP limit and the team-wide elation. This synergizes well with Sparkle and future teams where she may be a sub DPS instead of main DPS. Now running through Relics. So New Region provides her best in slot 4-piece Magical Girl for 16% crit damage and 10 to 20% ignore defense. Combined with her signature, this setup already has 40% ignore defense. Now there's not that many great alternatives here besides just raw stat sticks, so aim for this 4-piece as soon as you can. For eventual sub DPS Sparxie builds, 4-piece Eagle might make a return for a more ult spam playstyle. For planners, Tengoku is exactly what she wants for up to 48% crit damage on perma uptime. And then for main stats, we're running a standard crit and then triple attack spread, with alternatives for sub DPS also provided. For body, prioritize crit rate until 100% in combat and then go crit damage. Boots is almost always attack. She relies on Sparkle action fans for her actual turns, and since we're trying to stack skill points for massive basic nukes, giving her speed boots is a bit counterintuitive. However, for future sub DPS builds, it can be an alternative. Orb is always going to be attack for the Elation damage conversion. Damage bonus will not affect anything important in her kit. And then Rope is typically attack for raw damage, with energy as an option for a future ult-focused build. Since Sparxie converts attack to elation, running triple attack will be the norm for main DPS builds. So when you got a full build, this is what you can approximately expect. 3k plus attack, just above base speed, 80 to 90% crit rate depending on team buffs, as much crit damage as possible, and the crit rate will vary depending on the number of signature LCs that you have. Sparkle LC provides 10%, Guang LC provides another 10%. So cap or build at 80% if you have both, otherwise adjust as necessary. And yeah, that's her. Now a quick gloss over Eidolons for those interested. Feel free to skip forward if you just want to see her in action. E1, 5 extra punchline after AHA instant ends, and team-wide 7.5 to 15% res pen on 100% uptime. This means team punchline is reset to 5 instead of 0, guaranteeing at least 7.5% res pen at all times. E2, after AHA instant ends, she gets an extra turn and 2 thrill. Consuming thrill gives her a max of 40% crit damage. With the free thrill from ult and her own elation skill, the 40% crit damage should be on relatively 100% uptime after the first AHA instant is used in combat. The extra turn also allows her DPS to be really consistent while building pure glass cannon. Just relying on Sparkle action advance and AHA instant extra turns is more than enough for her turn count to feel frequent enough. You might not even have enough SP to go around. E4, using ult gives 5 more punchline and gives herself 36% more elation. And then E6, 20% more res pen, and the more punchline during AHA instant, the more damage her elation skill does. Specifically, 40 punchline gives her elation skill 40 more additional damage instances for a total of 60, which is quite a lot. Overall, our Eidolons focus more on increasing the quality of life of her own damage. E1 is going to have that team-wide benefit with the res pen, but after that, it just benefits herself. Stopping points to consider are E1 for team res pen, E2 for the extra turn, making her turn count much more frequent and abusing free SP from multiple sources, and E6 for massive damage. Alright, now let's see how she performs in combat. With both Guang and Sparxie now available, the premium Elation comp is now online. Sparxie, Guang, Sparkle, DHPT, or Huohuo. Sparkle is a must-have for massive SP generation, and DHPT or Huohuo are the most consistent sustains for this lineup. DHPT is an excellent SP positive free option, and Huohuo synergizes well with our attack scaling comp, while also funneling energy into all 3 of these members for just better elation and SP uptime. These are the 2 setups I've opted to showcase. The premium one that I just described, which we're going to stick with DHPT since I consider Huohuo a bit more premium because she wasn't provided for free, but overall their team DPS is very similar to one another. And then a team without Guang. Sparxie, Tribbie, Sparkle, DHPT. A lot of you may not have the luxury to pick up one of these new Elation characters, let alone 2, so this will give you a basis of comparison of how things look without Guang. We're going to be using Tribbie here, Cypher is also a very similar alternative, but I think that Tribbie is a bit more universal for most account investment. All 5 stars shown here are E0S1, and Tribbie is intentionally not on Dance Dance Dance, so she's on Signature Weapon. Action boosting ourselves is a little weird for Elation since this reduces our average punchline buildup per AHA instant, so we opt to remove DDD from Tribbie. If you don't have Signature Icons, reduce the performance of what you see by about 20%. First up, Zero Cycle Sparxie and Guang. This showcase will be identical to the one shown in Guang vid, but we can dive into more Sparxie nuance instead of talking about Guang. This team's playstyle is all about generating SP for Sparxie. Guang and DHPT will remain SP positive, only using their skills when absolutely necessary. Sparkle will constantly bump up Sparxie and abuse her ult as much as possible, and she can overflow her SP. To start off the fight, Guang gets a very quick ult to immediately send an AHA instant. Then, when Sparkle bumps Sparxie, we can full send SP and blast damage the 2 elites. And then right afterwards, the natural AHA instant takes action, deals a massive 3 mil, and immediately sends us to wave 2. Notice that we only needed 1 Sparxie turn and 2 AHA instants to full clear wave 1. For the second wave, we're just full sending. Sometimes you may want to limit SP usage if enemies are really low, but for this we can abuse constant SP usage since SparxieCon provides extra on completing the side fight. But yeah, this is a quick fight. Take a look at this final sequence for the Zero Cycle. And there it is. Now for the second showcase. This team operates without Guang and uses Tribbie, managing to clear in 1 cycle. We can demonstrate Sparxie's individual power a bit better here, since without Guang we have less AHA instants to abuse. Playstyle stays the same. Generate SP and bump up Sparxie. For this wave 1 Zero Cycle clear, we do have to rely a bit on luck for her skill to use more SP. You will notice after a standard rotation here, we barely managed to Zero Cycle with the help of Tribbie passive. SP wise, we're doing really solid though. So right before wave 1 is cleared, Sparxie manages a 15 SP enhanced basic for 1.5 mil. Now for wave 2. Here we just full send to complete the side fight. Sparxie spams all of our SP, nukes the trash mobs, and then replenishes that SP thanks to the side fight mechanic. When it's Sparxie's turn again, we managed to get a bit lucky with a 17 SP enhanced basic, leaving the boss with 20% phase 1. Next time, still within our Zero Cycle, Sparxie's turn arrives with 10% HP left. Here, we just use 5 SP and leave ourselves with 6 to use later on. I probably could have used even less, but I want to make sure I use at least 3 so that Sparkle's next skill bump costs 0 SP. Then we've got wave 2 with a bit more difficult of a side fight, but we just full send it. We'll go ahead and fast forward here because there's not much nuance in this last part of the fight. The end result is a clean 1 cycle. So, what do you think? Closing thoughts overall, Sparxie is a fun, but heavy on the screen clutter. There's a bit of RNG in our skill consumption, but in my opinion, it actually only benefits you. You basically average 10 to 12 SP usage when you have full SP bar, but sometimes the RNG catapults you to 15 plus for bigger nukes. For those concerned about long-term investment, I still think it's safe to hold off until we have an idea of what future Elation units provide. If you've got the disposable income to pick up both Guang and Sparxie, I think they're plenty strong and offer a unique combat experience that is a mixture of power and fun. Otherwise, between these two new characters, I still do lean towards Guang being more universal than Sparxie. I can see Sparxie transitioning to like the sub DPS down the line, but then her skill consumption becomes a weird trade-off that you no longer want to all in on. Again though, these new units down the line could have some crazy mechanics that we haven't seen. Let me know in the comments what you think, and don't forget to like and subscribe for future releases and gadget summon videos. If I do end up making an easier to E6 Sparxie showcase, that will be released on my second channel. Thanks for watching, and take care.